Woo, that was close. That was close. One phone call takes you away for a couple of minutes. All right, let's do this thing. Bum, 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 bum. Kind of dark in here, don't you think? Let's see what you guys think. It's like I'm blending in because I'm wearing the People's Pundit sweater. I'm blending. I kind of like it. Let's not turn any of those LEDs. Oh, turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. I'm serious. Oh, I like it. Jeez, that's bright. Does it have to be on me? Or can it be like behind me? Woo! She's killing me over here, people. Nah, yeah, a little bit. All right, you can say it. This isn't a family show. Yeah. I am naughty. I'm a bad pundit. Let's turn up some volume here. All right, folks. Welcome to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. Don't forget to like the videos if you like them and share them far and wide as always. And if, of course, you are on YouTube, it'd be great if you would mosey on over to Rumble and vice versa, mosey on over to YouTube. Subscribe and like there as well. A minute of your time does a huge amount. It really does. Super helpful. But the best place is always, of course, to follow us is right here. peoplespundit.locals.com. peoplespundit.locals.com. I'm getting holly jolly already. I am. I start thinking about after the show on Wednesday doing the Christmas poll, and like I love doing the Christmas poll, and I've got a couple of new ideas that I'm really looking forward to. But before we do that, I think we are probably going to run a national poll maybe as early as this weekend, and we're going to see a couple of things. One, favorabilities across the board, basically for everybody. I want to see how far it's interesting to me to see how far Donald Trump's favorability image is going to rise. And I think we're probably in a honeymoon period here. It'll be probably a bigger honeymoon period when we get there, but the media will quickly turn and do what they're doing, have always done. I want to play clicks. Can they do that anymore? Is an interesting question to ask. I don't want to play the whole clip. I'm not gonna. Do you need the invite link, by the way, before I do this? No. I don't want to play the whole clip, but I am gonna play something. It's on what the hell is going on? Window picker and directly access your screen. Google Chrome is requesting to bypass the system private window picker. I'll allow it for a month. It's asking to, I think it's because every time I go on different shows, it keeps stealing my audio. And then when it comes back here, it needs the audio approval again. So I'm going to give it a month and we'll see. It's a total pain in the butt. Me and Benny's producer were speaking. They're having issues too. It's a problem. These are updates to the actual browsers and everything we all use. It's not us. Yeah. All right. So look, I want to play this because we saw Morning Joe and Mika. By the way, Megyn Kelly, you're just on fire. Like the balls it takes for a woman to get physically on her own desk and do what she did. If you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe I'll play the clip. I don't know if Laura's going to let me. But but it's something. All right. It's truly something. But she's just on fire. But the point is, I guess everyone's kind of having fun here with the media because they so deserve it, right? And Morning Joe, Mika Brzezinski, we talk to Trump and we want to unify. They're full of they're full of it. They have no one watching their show anymore. The last people who did you guys see what Rosie O'Donnell did? Posted a video basically just going nuts on them. And I think Whoopi made a comment on The View as well. But like their own loyal followers are the only people who are still listening to them. And when they did what they did, which is go talk to Trump and pretend like they're trying to tone down the rhetoric, et cetera, they actually piss off the only listeners they have left. and viewers they have left. So they're in this really bad, precarious situation right now, and nobody deserves it more. I am not in a unity mood when it comes to them. I think the country, and I have long advocated that both parties should choose the path of appealing to the urban and rural divide. Maybe narrow that divide, because the truth is, as a public pollster, when we speak to people, we, and anyone as a pollster will, should be able to tell you this or understand it. Maybe they don't. Maybe that's why so many are bad at this. But they have so much in common with each other, way more than you would expect. I always forget his name. There's a great movie about him too, but he was a Black Panther leader in the 70s. The FBI killed him. They murdered him like they murder other people. And he quickly found out that he has more in common with the KKK than he does with the man and the system, right? The man back then, right? But what was he talking about? He's talking about the ruling class. And I think if both parties did that, there would be more unity naturally. Like, unity, of course, is a job of the leaders as well to try to bring it. It is not the job of the media. The media's job is to report news, but that's not what they have been doing for the better part of this entire century and beyond. But definitely in the 21st century, they became nothing more than an information mouthpiece, a vehicle for the state. They are essentially state-run media. They're no different than North Korea. They're no different than Chinese outlets that are told by the party what to say, what to write, how to attack your political opponents, how to smear and destroy your enemies, your opposition. They do the same thing. And the corporate media in this country is the most divisive entity out of everybody. No individual, no corporation, no group, no committee, no LLC, no ORG. All right, you get what I'm saying? Nobody, nothing, no entity is more destructive and negative force in this country than the media and entertainment industry. And corporate media being, of course, the dominator of that entire industry. So I don't really care about unity for them. I want to see Mika and Joe off air. I want their show to crash and burn. I want them to basically be on lines at soup kitchens waiting for a hot meal because that's all they can afford. That's where I'm at. I've seen too many people's lives ruined by these people. Richard Jewell was killed by the media. I mean, they did. They killed him. They ran him into the ground so badly, they literally gave the man a heart attack and killed him. Like, he was supposedly that caricature of a right-wing guy that they don't like. And by the way, they did it with the help of the FBI again. So the Morning Joes and the Mikas and everybody else who runs around doing the bidding of the administrative state and, like the FBI and other deep state actors, and attacks political opponents, smears good people, destroys lives. I don't really care about unity for them. Now, nobody wants MSNBC. That's the truth. There's a clip on Real Clear Politics right now I want to play. It's of Bill O'Reilly, actually. And I'm not going to play the whole thing, but he's dead right. Dead right. It's more than just, it's bad ratings. And look who's up there, by the way. He's talking. I mean, it's just hilarious. It's more than that. Their rhetoric kills people. Their rhetoric destroys lives. It is hate, and Bill O'Reilly's right to call it that. But this Russia, 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 hoax 1, hoax 2, hoax forever, and Hitler, 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 Stalin, 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 Mussolini, Mussolini, all wrapped up into one. They literally had a headline like that. Trump is Stalin, Mussolini, and Hitler all wrapped up into one. That kills people. That's how Steve Scalise was shot. And 4 others. The House Majority Whip at the time attacked and enact an attempted mass political assassination because of people like Morning Joe and Mika Brzezinski. So no, I don't want their unity, and it doesn't look like Comcast wants them either. Let's hear Bill.
Well, here's what happened with Joe and Mika. They were ordered to go to Mar-a-Lago by Comcast, the parent company out of Philadelphia. They just didn't show up.
That's right.
Okay. And Trump said, oh, this is great. Here they come. I'm going to kiss my you know what. And we'll get photo ops, which they did. But Comcast said, you two, we're going to have to try to mend some cliche fences. And you two are going to go in there and you're going to try to tamp it down. Because Comcast knew the next day they were going to announce that MSNBC is vapor. That is a huge meteor story.
Why is
Enormous.
it vapor? Just because they're spinning it
no
off
more.
and putting them in the... Well, they're spinning off a bunch
There's
of
no
brands.
spin-off.
There is. It's a spin-off company.
There's no spin-off. See, you buy the propaganda, Cuomo.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean about
I'm just saying
people?
what's being reported.
All right.
But what do you know?
Yeah, I know, but why would you believe what's being reported?
Right. 50 years in media, Laura? The guy's experience doesn't count for shit. 50 years in media. This guy he's got the most viral clip in the history of any journalist, anything, period. And that, of course, is, I wonder if I should play it when he gets caught off camera, screaming at them, just go live, do it live. What does Bill O'Reilly know? He's only been in media for like 5 decades, had the biggest hit show ever on Fox News until Tucker came along and did surpass his ratings record. I don't think overall, but I think he did beat his best night. I think his single day ratings was beaten by Tucker. But that doesn't matter. You can't take away from this guy what he knows. He's worked at CBS News. He's worked at Fox News. He's done his local work all the way up to the corporate ladder, in the big city news broadcasts, all right, and cable and network. And he's not here to tell you what's going on. Chris Cuomo knows better. Give me a break. Chris Cuomo, who I don't even know what he's doing on News Nation. Honestly, I don't. Everyone who knows the Cuomo brothers know they don't believe a word they say on TV. That's just not who they are. They are acting for a liberal audience. They're acting. Bill O'Reilly, you can say whatever you want about the guy. He's no damn actor. That is Bill O'Reilly. What you see is what you get. Like it, love it, hate it, whatever. It's him. So what does he know? A spin-off brand. They became more popular than the whole brand. You kidding me? They're in the doldrums now. Nobody wants them. Let's pretend like, oh, it's a spin-off. It was just a spin-off. It dominated.
You want the real story? Here
Yes,
it comes.
please.
So they're uncoupling their word, Comcast, MSNBC from NBC News.
Yes.
That means MSNBC has no resources at all. None. They're not going to be able to pay these people millions of dollars, Rachel Maddow, whatever she's making. NBC News is saying, we don't want you around. Why? Because NBC News' numbers, Lester Holt and the Today Show, are catastrophe because half the country equates NBC News with MSNBC and they won't watch. So NBC is desperately trying to save the mothership of information, and they have to throw MSNBC overboard.
Of course.
They're not putting anything into MSNBC. They want to sell it. So where's Georgie Soros now? Georgie's buying radio stations. You can get MSNBC for nothing. They'll give it to you. They don't want any more of this. Why? Because it's hateful. Not because it's so far left. The whole NBC Comcast hierarchy is far left.
Yep.
But it's hateful. They hate Trump. They hate people who vote for Trump. Everybody knows that.
Yes.
And you know what's next? The View.
Yes.
ABC News is going to have to cut ties with The View. And you saw that today or yesterday when Sonny Hostin had to read a legal statement in the middle of a segment. The lawyers get Whoopi Goldberg's ear and it said, we're bringing a statement in on a teleprompter. She reads it.
Is good.
So it is over for these far left networks. Done, never coming back. Dracula's stake in the heart. Who benefits? News Nation may, but CNN, which is on the ropes too, will probably get some MSNBC viewers.
Wow.
There you go.
What do you think of that?
Well, who cares what he thinks of it? Honestly, the guy's never said anything. He's never said a damn thing right in his entire life. Who cares what he thinks about it? Bill is right. I mean, I don't know, you may have heard me say it, but I'm over there mumbling under my breath. The Lord is good. It's like justice does exist in the universe. Okay. It's not retribution. It's justice. They ruined people's lives. We almost lost the House Majority Leader. He was almost killed. I mean, I'm saying this stuff over and over again because it's like we need to take a breath here and realize the environment that these people have created. Yesterday, The Independent, right? Because there's this weird press pool thing going on at Mar-a-Lago where the Trump people are keeping these scumbags at bay. They are. And they have the separate, it's almost like a separate press pool. And, you were once on top dogs. Now you're bottom feeders. And we don't want you to have any information. And because they're not getting any information, they're just making shit up or looking for stories that don't exist. JD Vance's convoy, whatever you want to call it, his entourage comes rolling out of Mar-a-Lago, and with it, of course, is emergency services. And The Independent runs this tweet that says that all these ambulances are leaving. Everybody, I mean, including me, I got to get on the phone. Poso Texas, he's like, I'm going to make a call. You make a call, see what's going on. We're like, everybody's like, what the hell are they talking about? I'm like, we had to tell them that the media was making it out like you dropped. The president dropped or something, and he's on his way. Isn't it crazy that they have created this environment where we're all just kind of sitting around expecting the government to take a shot at Donald Trump again, or worse, or expecting some stooge mark of the government to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't even get to swear in again as the 47th president? Think about how sick that is. America in 2024. Who did that? Did independent pollsters and independent media companies, alternative media companies, did podcasters, did YouTubers, did we all do that? Or did they do that? It's disgusting. Yet I still don't have any confidence whatsoever in their ability to really look inward and say there's a problem. Now, they'll just do what Bill is saying. They will cut the dead weight. They will disconnect. We're gonna cut ties here. We're gonna go off in separate brands. Oh no. They need somebody on the chopping block. Maybe if Rachel Maddow and Joy Behar spent more time listening to people instead of trying to break into my databases, they would have saw what was coming down the pike for them. And for people who don't know what I'm talking about, these two women and others tried to sign up and get into the database in 10x votes so they could try to manipulate the get out the vote data. Journalists, entertainers, this is what they're doing with their free time. Should have Drew, one of the Drews, on to talk about that. He's got a full list of these people. You will be shocked. I kid you not. You will be shocked to see the names. I actually wasn't shocked at Rachel Maddow. She's always been kind of proactive. So when they told me, that Maddow was requesting access, I'm like, no, she's not. And there she is trying to get in. But Joy and the rest of them, don't you have a show to get ready for? You're trying to break into a get out the vote database in Michigan. And what they would have tried to do was get in there, get access, gain access to it, and then start erroneously, I guess is the best word, claiming that certain people voted and certain people didn't. This is what they were doing with their time. Not learning how to read a poll correctly, not learning how to listen to voters who are telling you, guess what? We don't have the lives that you have. We can't afford milk or eggs or gas or other groceries or our rent or our mortgage. or a car. And they don't care about any of that. Their answer to that was, he's Hitler. We can't actually help to make your life better because our policies suck. And we're radical. We're absolute radical, fanatic collectivists who live on the top of the ladder in these collectivist societies. So it doesn't really bother us, but we don't care about your issues. It's not our fault that you're too stupid to seize Hitler. Okay. And by the way, we got to play it. We got to play it. We got to do it. Here it is. Here's the clip I was talking about. I told you it's a Freewheeling Friday. Here it is.
Fucking thing sucks. Deal with Americans that way, and I deal with it all the time, and you know I do.
Hey, Bill,
You're not.
This manliness stuff is very unbecoming.
This is a montage. This is the other one. All right, whatever. You're gonna see it anyway. Let's do it.
From you,
There's a difference between having a disagreement and calling me a liar. That's a personal
This is
attack.
why I'm calling you a liar. Give me one program he said he cut.
He would cut Medicare and Medicaid.
That's
he would
not
actually
a
cut
specific
he had offered cuts to those.
program.
What does that mean? To play us out?
Sting is going to do. It's a video. Sting video.
Hold it, because
Oh,
I don't get
come
the tea
on.
off of you.
What is?
For credits?
I don't know what that means. To play us out. What does that mean? To end the show?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, go.
In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it.
Okay. In
This is bull.
Bill, I'm answering.
5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a. I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live.
Right.
Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
Do you see though, like, boy, you can take the boy out of Levittown, but you can't take the Levittown out of the boy. Ain't that right, Bill? Oh, God. And then he's just, I'm sorry. I'm in a good mood. Laughter really is the best medicine, by the way, folks. Laughter really is the best medicine. All right. All right. So get your questions in. We got to go for a quick update here. We'll return to our regularly scheduled mocking program in a second here. But let's take a quick update and minor stuff, of course, but we have to go around and we haven't had a chance to do it since these things were updated. So let's just briefly talk about what happened here with the election, what remained. Okay. Number one, first and foremost, even after counting a bunch of illegal votes, Donald Trump's lead over Kamala Harris in the state of Pennsylvania, nearly 2 points. Some very, very notable stuff here. Okay. Number one, Monroe County went to Donald Trump. In 2020, I can't tell you how many times I remember going on Bannon, going on War Room and telling him, man, Monroe looks close. And for a time in our polling, Trump actually did lead in Monroe. He wound up not being able to carry it, though. It was close, but he didn't carry it. This time he did. He took Monroe. This is something that's been going on since 2016. And that whole area, of course, Biden town, right? Lackawanna was also very, very close. I honestly am surprised that she did hold on to it. It was that kind of an election where it did look like it was going to be a bloodbath, and that would have been the end of it. Obviously, Lancaster, Berks, a lot of these people had some votes that they needed to add to it. Look at that margin in Berks, by the way. Oh, boy. And then Lehigh. Look how close Lehigh was. And definitely in our polling, we separate out these counties from Chester to Bucks. And that is what we always call the Philadelphia suburbs, southeastern Philadelphia suburb counties. Of course, with Philly it being separate, we always separate Philly. 20% of the vote in Philadelphia. That's extraordinary. As we can see, we told you on election night that Kamala Harris was going to need in the ballpark of 700,000 votes out of the county of Philadelphia by herself, alone. Otherwise, she probably did not stand a chance. And that is really where we're at. So she fell about 113,000 votes shy of that. And her margin of is a little over 100,000. So this is why we told you she really did need getting clobbered everywhere else. She really did need 700,000 out of that. And, you can see the issue here. The biggest swings for Donald Trump, and I'm going to say this again because it's obviously not sinking into people's heads. The biggest swings for Donald Trump came in non-white areas, came in more urban areas. He, of course, did better basically everywhere. But black belt counties in the South, one I'll show you in a second, had the biggest swings. Charleston, South Carolina, compare that, for instance, to other counties around South Carolina. Patrick Ruffini did a great precinct deep dive into this. You can see, whereas upstate, of course, did shift R plus 14.2. Charleston actually shifted 15.7 to Trump, which just shows you. And then even in like the Black Belt and Piedmont counties with higher percentages of black populations in South Carolina, they shifted even more, which is just incredible. Meanwhile, the rurals and the rest of the state only moved about 6.6, which is no small feat. But the whiter cities moved at a less drastic pace, which I would say it's just a less significant shift. So it's a story that needs to be told because oh, hold on one second. I got to respond to this. Yeah. So also, yeah, and it's funny. Somebody from Bucks County just texted me because, of course, we're going to go over this. Yeah, right on the money. I just want to give a shout out to he's a supervisor in Buckingham Township. You guys probably know him. He's a member of Locals, but he's also been on the show before. Paul Caldareo. He had been telling me for months, that Bucks County is going to be plus or minus 3,000 one way or the other, and closer than that likely. But he thought that Trump would be able to carry Bucks. Unfortunately, there is always going to be an asterisk next to the Pennsylvania statewide results because Bucks and others did not obey the law and they counted votes that are illegal. All right, guys, there is nothing stopping Democratic operatives or Republican operatives for that matter. I mean, the law is for everybody. There is nothing stopping them from collecting ballots late that are not legal, having them incorrectly or just not at all postmarked. And yes, there'll be provisionals. But there's nothing stopping them from stuffing the ballot box if they don't adhere to deadlines or election day deadlines. The state has a lot of reform that it needs to put into place, but the state court, which is a liberal court, ruled that they could not count those ballots, and they did it anyway. So they shrunk Trump's margin almost about 1,800 votes, which is incredible. If they didn't do that, Paul would have been right on the money. Yet he still carried Bucks County. It's going to be less than 300 votes, 271 votes or so. I think it's going to be the final. And let me just see, because I think I do exactly have 291 will be the final, actually. So I guess we are about almost totally done. But it doesn't matter. They don't have enough to overtake that lead. It is finished, certified, done, Dunsky. It includes illegal votes, however, and Trump's real margin was more like 1,800, and that's really sad, but that's where we're at. That's again, America in 2024. But it's still notable. Donald Trump is the first Republican presidential candidate to carry Bucks County since 1988. It's a very, very big deal. All right. So look at what he had to do elsewhere to do that. This is why I made such a big deal on election night about Buckingham Lower 1 and Buckingham Lower 2. Number one, I know a lot of people over there. So I was able to, I know a lot of people that had information at a level that we normally don't have for everywhere again. And I identified them because, for instance, Lower 2 in Buckingham is more working class. It is. Now, and by the way, it's more senior. And then in lower one, it's more professional, credentialed class. The CEO of Merck lives over there. I mean, this is who they are. That's the kind of people they are. Costa had said on election night, I'm not surprised at what I'm seeing in Bucks. They are Republican at their core. They are Republican. That's not really true. They were once upon a time silk stocking Republicans in Bucks County. That's not what totally delivered Bucks County for Trump. It was a combination of both. He did better in an area like lower one, which is filled with professional classers. He lost it to Biden in 2020. He won it this time. It's not that huge of a precinct. They had over 90% turnout, and I think it was 92. I think that was the final 92, maybe more, maybe like 93 or 4. I'd have to go back and look exactly what the last count was, but the mail-in vote was more Republican, and Trump still lost it. The election day vote was more Democratic, and Trump still won it. Very interesting. Very interesting. Bottom line is, you could see in lower one and lower two, the dynamic of this election playing out. The more diverse lower two, much more working class and more diverse, right? You have Southern and Eastern Europeans and in addition to your more waspy white Republicans, or once upon a time they were Republicans, now they're Democrats. And then you have the working class Democratic element that's Italian, that's Irish, that's Black and Hispanic. They're all there for us to see. And in this micro environment, it told us a lot. So Trump improved in lower two, and he won lower one, which is very remarkable. It really told us a lot. So that's how much it takes, though, to win Bucks County. And as we can see with McCormick's race, he did not. And it's unfortunate because it's unclear. The legal provisional ballots were much more Republican in 24 than they were in 2020. In 2020, they were filled with Democratic, votes that were, questionable at best. And Republicans were able to beat it down this time. They were more than 3-1 Democratic in 2020. They were barely 1.15 to 1 in Democratic in 2024. And their candidates were actually losing the votes, which tells you that independents and more Democrats were voting for Trump and McCormick than Republicans were breaking off and voting for Casey and Harris, which is, of course, the total opposite of the narrative you were told the entire election cycle. Right? There were going to be all these Republican women and all these wealthy silk stocking Republicans who were going to vote for Harris in huge numbers, and that did not happen. In our final Pennsylvania poll, we took time to show you that the most likely crossover voter in the state of Pennsylvania was, in fact, a Democratic man. Harris routinely lost in the low to mid-teens every night in tracking 12% to 15% of Democratic men to Donald Trump. Donald Trump, in turn, was barely losing any Republican women. The data never supported, it did not support that narrative. And David Plouffe, who was running that crap all through the media, never provided the data to back up the allegation he was making. Or back the claim, not even an allegation, the claim. It was all a lie. And that's really unfortunate. But again, that's our corporate media. They didn't do their damn jobs because they want it to be true. They didn't ask David Plouffe, can we see the data that you're referring to? Nothing. They demanded no proof from him. Incredible. And that was very difficult in the face of, he's David Plouffe. That's Obama's guy. He's supposed to be credible. He's the one who gave polling information to Nate Silver when Nate Silver first pretended to be an election forecaster. By the way, I'm going to say this every day on X and verbally until it gets through everyone's heads. Nate Silver is not a pollster. Stop referring to Nate Silver as a pollster. He wouldn't have a freaking clue what to do if he sat down in this chair right here where my Italian ass is sitting and he was allowed to go ham and conduct the poll on his terms the way he would want. He would have no clue. He has never trained in polling. Even if he is Even if he is a statistician, it doesn't make him a pollster. It doesn't even make him a good poll reader, which is effectively what he is. That's it. He was never an election forecaster. He always just read David Pluff's memos that David Pluff would send to him, and he would put it out there and pretend it was a model. That's the truth about Nate Silver. So stop sharing his stuff and stop referring to him as a pollster. He has no idea how to conduct a poll. And he knows a lot about poodles. That's right, Laura. Go walk Fifi. Go walk Fifi. By the way, where's my $100,000? If Trump isn't going to win Florida by double digits, that's a fake poll. Where's my $100,000? And you know what? I don't even trust a personal check from your jobless ass. I want a certified check. Go take your ass with Fifi to the bank and go get me a certified check, because I don't even think you have that money in your bank account anymore. You don't even have a job. You blog all day on a .net. You don't even have a .com. Guy isn't a damn pollster. And again, even if he was some kind of guru statistician, polling is part art and part science. It's no wonder people like Nate Cohen can't do it. They're never going to get the art part of this. They don't know the American public. They have no knowledge of history or community. They have no knowledge of anything. They sit in cubicles in New York City all day. How the hell would they know how to do this? Talking to Darby O'Mara from Newsweek. And I'm sure, I don't know if the interview's out yet, but when it is, let me know, Laura, so I can share it. But, you know, it's funny. It's like he's being told by these like white sweater vests, silk stocking Republicans, pollster or so-called pollsters like good old Chris Wilson at WPA Fake Intel, that polling is a mirage. This guy Rich doesn't know what he's doing. And Darvio's like, I'm a black man, dude.
I'm looking at
Hello?
neighbor.
I'm going to the barbershop, bro. I'm sitting around and they're all voting for Trump. Like, he's right. You're telling me I'm black. The hell would you know? When was the last time Chris Wilson or any of them have been into a black barbershop? I love them. I will sit my little white ass down on one of them. They are the most hilarious places to be, and they give the best fades. Hands down. Got the red and white stripe thing going and everything. And the one by us, Laura, they still got it. The old barbershop thing, I love it, man. Love it. But they think they know better. How could they? How could we expect these people to predict behavior from the subject of what the behavior you're trying to predict, right? If you want to predict anything, whether it's the outcome of a football game or a baseball game, some sports game, right? Contest, or maybe a boxing match or an MMA thing, you have to understand the subjects of the damn exercise, don't you? Like, how could you predict who's going to win a football game if, number one, you don't know anything about football and you have no idea who plays for the 49ers? Like that's, how could you do it? That's what you're asking. That's what you're expecting out of these so-called pollsters, these so-called high-quality pollsters, which, by the way, form of censorship. High quality, low quality. It's certainly a neat way to get away from saying accurate or not accurate.
How that high quality and
Oh, how the high quality and seltzer do. All these high quality pollsters produce low accuracy results. All of these low quality pollsters are repeatedly the most accurate. Routine now. Again, let me just get on with this. Even with Bucks going to Casey, McCormick still has won this. I'm going to say this. I have nothing against Dave McCormick. I'm just simply going to say this because I am getting a whiff of what I always get a whiff of, which is once they win, they all of a sudden turn into something else that they tried to sell you on being. So I'm going to be watching Dave very carefully because I've always been a Dave skeptic, and a lot of people that I feel very highly about vouched for him. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But hear me when I tell you, you had no chance in hell of winning this election without Donald Trump. Remember that good, boy. All your millions wouldn't have done shit for you. You would have lost. Donald Trump is the only reason you are going to be the senator from the state of Pennsylvania. Sorry, not trying to put down anybody who did good work to try to get Dave elected. Not doing it. Pointing out reality. Without Donald Trump on the ballot, Dave McCormick loses. And the reason he survived and Eric Hovda didn't, and the reason he survived and Mike Rogers didn't, they're all got their own little unique things about them. But it's really kind of easy. Democrats funded a fake MAGA candidate in Wisconsin. That pulled enough away from Hovda in and of itself. And then they rammed a bunch of questionable ballots through Milwaukee at 4 a.m. So that was, that's its separate thing in Wisconsin. In Michigan, it's very simple. Rhinos don't win in the Midwest. Mike Rogers, nobody was buying it. And by the way, I'm telling you, I have been told for people who are wigging out about whether or not he's going to appoint Mike Rogers to the FBI, I can tell you that how can I say this without giving? That's not going to happen. I have been told by somebody that I very much knows that is not going to happen. If it does, man, then he got lied to by the horse's mouth. And I just don't believe that. I am told it basically hasn't crossed his mind. Trump will do this. He'll get a list from his people. Mike Rogers was no doubt on that list. I'm sure, whatever. So they can say that he wasn't. If he doesn't like the list, he goes with somebody totally out of the blue. He did it with a vice presidential nominee once. He's done it with countless appointments. If he doesn't approve, he'll just make up his own mind and say, you know what, I don't like anybody on this list. I'm going with this guy. And as I understand it, that may be how Matt Gaetz initially got that DOJ nomination. And also, I am going to defend the Pam Bondi thing here. I think a lot of people are going over the rails. I don't think you guys know Pam Bondi very well. I don't know what else to say. I joined John Fredericks this morning to talk about it on his radio show because he knows that I do. And I don't know where they're coming up with these, like, oh, she appointed a special investigator to look into the Trayvon Martin thing. Right. She had no choice. And she did the right thing. She did it properly. And she trusted that, unlike the DOJ, which he knows cannot be trusted to do this, her prosecutors were not rogue. They're not going to engage in misconduct. They're going to play it out the right way. And they don't give a damn what Eric Holder was going to say about his own report. They didn't care. She did the right thing. Zimmerman was found not guilty. Nobody got in trouble for anything because nothing was ever done to deny anybody their civil rights. She handled it exactly the right way. And once upon a time, Florida was a swing state. Yet Pam Bondi won re-election handily. But I'm telling you, she may not have been very public these last couple of years, but Pam Bondi was one of the first people to say, privately and publicly, I don't like what Bob Mueller's doing. Something's not right with this Russia probe. I don't like it. Prosecutors aren't supposed to act like this. This is not how you conduct yourself. It's not how you behave. Give her a chance, is what I'm saying. I think she's going to be solid. She's no pushover. And I'll also tell you this, in Florida, Laura, when she verbally said, if I catch you stuffing the ballot box in Broward County, I'm going to lock you up. When she said that, Brenda was like telling people, like, we really have to be on guard because this, I'm not going to use the word, but this ain't playing. No shit, that wasn't playing.
That's why you got fired.
And that's why he got removed anyway, right? But, it sent a signal. The supervisors of elections down there knew she was not playing around. All right. And they were all worried about whether she had people in their buildings. Do you remember that? don't know this stuff. They don't know this stuff. This stuff's not public. That's right. Yeah, it's Florida business. Yeah. That's right. Exactly. And Laura's saying is just like we don't know the intricacies or like the detailed stories and the goings on of all these other states that we're not in. It makes sense. I mean, that stuff was local business, and I'm telling you, man, they were afraid. They thought they had little Bondi agents running around inside of Broward County. Yeah, they did. All right, here you can see McCormick running behind Donald Trump in Philadelphia. See that? Interesting about the map with Dave McCormick, too, is that he did win Northampton. He barely won it, but he won it nonetheless. But he did not carry Bucks, and he did not carry Erie like Donald Trump, and he did not carry Monroe like Donald Trump. So what does this tell you? This is Trump's map. This is a regular Republican map. And a good one at that, because Donald Trump was on the ticket. And frankly, this probably would not have come about if this guy wasn't on the ticket. You understand what I'm saying? He probably would not have carried Northampton. And not probably, he wouldn't have. Let's get real. And he would have lost this election. The rurals came out gangbusters for him. Look at Lancaster, by the way. 56.2 to 41.1. And then you look at Lancaster for Trump, and it's 57.5 to 41.5. All right, so she gets 0.4 more, but Trump gets, obviously, almost a 1.5 more. You think, for people who don't know this, actually, Lancaster's got like a little mini ghetto. And we think about the Lancaster and we think the Amish, but it certainly has a Black community there. I wonder how many Black voters voted for Donald Trump in Lancaster and Bob Casey for Senate. I bet you a lot. Look at the vote difference. You think it's the Amish giving their votes to Bob Casey? Give me a break. No way. Of course, they're red all the way down the ticket. Yes. Yep. Yep. I'm telling you. And we see this everywhere. And a little bit here, a little bit there. It all adds up. I do not have these. What's the word? I mean, again, because people are like, damn, man, Rich is being such a downer about this. Well, look around the map. They ran significantly behind Donald Trump in the most important places. And this does not bode well for their future if they're not going to be a Trump party. This is very bad. Now, with the House, that's a little bit different. The fact of the matter is, this map is badly gerrymandered in favor of Democrats. Democrats have been living and breathing off of bogus census reports for a long time now. Chris Christie, his dumb fat ass, was in charge of making sure redistricting did not go like this, exactly like this. This guy can't do anything right. Well, he can govern New Jersey. Let's be honest. He did it right. That's the only way you can govern New Jersey. It's too crooked. You got to play the game. Sad, but it's true. He made friends with the bosses, Like, that's it. You have to. That's why he won 20-something% of the Black vote. That's why he won. I think he won outright the Hispanic vote, if I remember correct. But, moving forward, Republicans have a very short window if they want maps to look more like this instead of this. And it's not just that. It's the margins in some of these places, folks. Look at Greene County. All right, 71.5 to 26.6. You think they would have came out for Dave McCormick? He's already running 3.5 points below Trump's vote share. And Bob Casey's doing almost 30%, where Kamala Harris did 26.6. Look at that. It's a pathetic, that's a pathetic margin. Some of this shit is embarrassing. It really is. Let's go to John Duarte, who doesn't have his race called yet. His lead now is less than 200 votes. He absolutely got clapped in the drop out of Merced last night. In fact, I have that margin for you. Hold on. It is, okay, here it is. 57.6% to 42.4% for Adam Gray. Did you hear what she just said? David would have already closed the books on this. Why? Simple. Where is Duarte running behind Donald Trump? The most Hispanic working class areas of the district. That's where. Trump is currently leading, where Duarte is losing Merced. Where is it? We got to get that part of that district. Well, first of all, his home county in Stanislaus. He lost it to Adam Gray. Trump won it by 11.
It would have been beautiful.
Trump is still up by 5 in Merced, by the way. And John is down 8. No, he's down 3. So he's running 8 points behind Donald Trump in Merced. It's embarrassing. And it's exactly what I said was going to happen. Exactly what I told him was going to happen. This is an embarrassment. Do I think he's going to lose? Yes, I think Duarte is probably going to lose. There's at least some evidence. There's an argument to be made that the votes that are still outstanding in Merced, which is really the only place that has votes outstanding. Watch. Fresno is 93% in, but look, it's 19,000 votes, guys. It's not that much. John would have to win them by a huge margin to try to make up for some of this chopping block. Madera is supposed to be the most Republican. This is supposed to be the Republican stronghold of this district, and John couldn't even break 60%. Where's Trump in Madera, by the way? Let's see.
I thought him speaking Spanish.
There's Merced. There's Madera. 59.2. So he didn't crack 60 either, but he got much closer. 59.2, and John is 57.1. And that the truth is, they didn't even call. John Duarte's campaign didn't even bother calling the chairwoman of the Madera Republican Party until now, until like late last week when he called her and begged her to basically find votes. To which she said, go f yourself. And here's Merced. This should be Republican. It is not. It had voted for Trump, the entire county, by the way. It voted for Trump 51 to 46.4. It's almost the exact opposite. 51.3 for Gray, 58.7 for Duarte. Again, a total embarrassment. And where are we? San Joaquin is done. If I remember correctly, yeah, it's done. 53.6 for Gray. That's supposed to be the most liberal stronghold, but instead he had Stanislaus damn near that amount. Whereas Trump and Stanislaus, that's Fresno, Madera, Mariposa. There you are. 54.1 to 43.3. Who's the dumbass now? Meanwhile, instead of being Ukraine first, David Gilio, who ran against Duarte in the primary and lost, he would have been America first, and he would have had an America first agenda and vote record. He would have been in lockstep with Donald Trump. John Duarte is not. In fact, John Duarte doesn't even like Donald Trump. So forgive me if I'm not going to shed any tears when the drop tonight puts Adam Gray in the lead. In fact, not only am I not going to shed any tears, I'm at the point where they got the majority anyway. What's one rhino? Do the seats really matter? One here, one there. Does it really matter that him and Mike Garcia are probably going to... Well, Mike, he's gone. Mike's done. Dunsky lost. Who's the dumbass now, Mike? So does it really matter if it's Adam Gray or John Duarte? They're both going to just sit there wanting to send more money overseas than their own constituents. They're both going to champion Ukraine first. Adam's not really a woke Democrat. He just tries to play and do whatever he's got to do. And now I would argue he's not at all going to be woke because he can't be now, given the results of this election, if he wants to keep his seat. And unfortunately, people in Trump's orbit, close to Trump, vouch for this douche. He's never going to vote to scale back FISA. He's never going to vote to hold the FBI accountable. They're holding a case over his head. Somebody called the FBI and accused them of bribing Matt out of the primary. This is what they do. They'll Hoover you, man. They'll J. Edgar you. And once they got something like that, it's a wrap. So what's so big deal? My point is, if he loses, big deal. Who gives a damn? 1 seat, 2 seats, 3 seats. What's the difference? If all they're going to do is go there and be traitors to the party and try to stomp on the president's agenda, which is what the voters voted for. They did not vote for who. What? Tell me something. What is the Republican agenda? Can anyone name a single issue that the House Republican Conference championed this cycle? I'll wait. Was it immigration? Nope. John Duarte was running around till the very last day, telling everybody that he's going to support an amnesty. Sure, his mailers during the primary say he's super conservative. Look at me. I'm standing next to a pickup truck. I'm a fighter. I'm over it. I'm over these people. They deserve to lose. They don't deserve to win. They lie to voters. And then they go and do what they want to do, not what they told the voters they were going to do when they got there. They don't deserve it. Do they deserve Adam Gray? I don't know. I mean, I don't know Adam Gray that much. Maybe he'll end up being a fairly conservative Democrat. He doesn't have the wiggle room to be a nutcase. He doesn't. Ask Carly Ruda how that works. What I do know is that you cannot affect change in incremental. You got, look, actually, I always did love this expression. If you want to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs. John was a donor, folks. John Duarte was a low-level, low. He'd give $5,000 here. He'd give $10,000 there. I mean, it's not huge. He's not exactly rich in Elizabeth Uline. Okay? He wanted the seat because he's a donor. They already had an endorsed candidate. That was David. He had the endorsements of every single county GOP, which you need in order to get a certain percentage in order to get the state GOP endorsement. And he went to his hometown people who he gave money to. And he said, I don't like this guy. He's a Trump guy. We need to find somebody else. Those somebody else's weren't working. So he said, I'm a donor and you're going to back me. It's really sad. That's really sad. And it fractured the party. He barely won. They called David at all hours of the night trying to bribe him for stuff. Remember that? Trying to bribe him with different positions. You can have this seat. You can have this position. You can have this. You can have that. I mean, it was disgusting. We need you to knock on those Hispanic doors and tell them John's a good guy. But he knew John was not a good guy. So he didn't do it, which is rare. He basically blacklisted himself because his integrity was more important than winning an election. He was not going to go tell those people who felt orphaned from both parties that he made a connection with, yeah, okay, vote for John. He's a good guy. Because he didn't believe it. And Trump got those votes. John did not. You really cannot look at these things, folks, as just like an R versus D thing. You can't. You just can't. What happens in the Democratic Party when somebody, I don't want to say betrays the party, but like when somebody steps out of line from the agenda, what do they do to them? They get rid of them. Off with your head. You don't spend another you do not spend another session in Congress. You get primaried and you get thrown the hell out, and that's it. But Rich, Republicans are more individualistic and blah, blah. Okay. They're lying to people. You're claiming to be the conservative champion. I fought the EPA. I did this. I'm such a champion. I'm such a hero. And then you go and you do the exact opposite of what you told the voters you're going to do. I'll be strong on the border. I'll shut it down in day one. I want to support an amnesty bill. Have you guys worked out the fine points yet? People, it's not going to work anymore. It's not going to work anymore. And as it turns out, sending billions of dollars to Ukraine doesn't fly in Orange County either anymore. That guy never gave even pay 1 second of lip service to the struggles of his own constituents. He spent day in and day out worrying about the grievances of Vladimir Zelensky. You won't be doing that anymore. Not unless you become a lobbyist, which you probably will. Should have just left the America First candidate alone and you'd still have this seat. And worse, you'd have it for a while because you lose this seat now. This is how it works. This is a relatively new seat, new district drawn up after the census. Looks like they're probably going to get carved up again anyway. But power of the incumbency still carries some weight. And if Adam Gray gets in that seat and survives one re-election, then he'll be a more permanent figure there. Because I got to tell you all, I don't know what everyone else. It's like this implicit. This is something else long I have to talk about, but I got to take a break. But there is, without a doubt, an implicit. Like there's no. Is it implied or is it more than that? There is a racism about this an analyst that we're hearing. Like you know, they were never going to get these black votes. Like they were never going to get these Hispanic votes. They were never going to get these Asian votes. We can only get white people. As if like non-whites don't have the same reason to make what we refer to in this business as a rational policy choice. And if you're saying that they can't make rational policy choices like white people, you're saying they miss something about the human brain that like whites have. That's racism. It's like the whole Ann Coulter theory of the case, the whole Jeff Rowe theory of the case, the whole Chris Wilson theory of the case. It wasn't just wrong. There is some kind of inherent racism about it. Got to face it. It's ugly, but it's got to be faced. Because you really, if the map wasn't clear to everyone, yes, Trump won this thing. Republicans didn't. Yes, Trump's win is very impressive. It was not impressive performance at all for Republicans down ballot. Yes, if Trump was allowed to run, I think he would crush it again in 28. How old would he be? We were just talking about this. She had to correct me. I thought Trump was younger. 78 years old. You'd see an 82-year-old Donald Trump winning even more of the black vote and even more of the Hispanic vote. You would. Well, guys like John Duarte and others go down in a blaze of glory. We haven't even gotten to Texas yet. Oh, my God, the disparity in Texas. Disgusting. And white voters are getting more professional class. They are the most fanatical group in the electorate. They're the most ideological group in the electorate. Simply putting a Nikki Haley or a Ron DeSantis at the top of the ticket was not going to win them back. Both of those people would have lost this election. They would have. And along with you wouldn't even have gotten the Pennsylvania Senate seat. Couldn't be more clear. All right, let's take a real quick break. If you guys have thought about maybe diversification or protecting your wealth, then there really is no better place to go than the guys over at Freedom Gold USA. Whether it's your first time or whether you are an experienced, gold and silver buyer, or you're about to know, but find out. These things come with commitments. Most of these houses are $50K minimum commitments. Some are 20, 10, even at Freedom Gold, it's 5, but not for you guys. All right. So that they have lowered the commitment for the People's Fund. If it's just 500, which is unheard of and insane. And you still get free shipping and insurance on all orders. That's one of the deals, but there are a number of them. Bottom line, though, is when you set up a new account, you will get thrown into a prize pool. I think we're doing this Saturday, aren't we? Yeah, we have some winners we have to announce. And then, of course, there's the new gold or silver IRA, which will get you a $500 credit. It's just an incredible number of deals that they're offering over there for you guys right now. So go over to freedomgoldusa.com/rich. That's freedomgoldusa.com/rich, which of course is specifically for us. And go see what else you may qualify for. The phone number as well is also directly for you guys. That's 888-279-3592. 888-279-3592. That's our line, but it's always good when you say that People's Pundit sent me. They will answer any questions you guys want. That's what I love about Freedom Gold. There's no hard sell. They will really do want to make sure that you're confident and you understand what you're doing. And, you have all of your questions answered. So, again, 888-279-3592. You know what? Can we just do another one real quick? Yeah, otherwise, is that cool? And then we'll get into questions. That's all right with everybody else, right? I see you loading them up down there. We wanted to kind of just have like a free flowing show today. We have not had one since the election. People have a ton of questions to ask that I never really get through all of them. Let's just do this. I had no idea. BlackRock. I knew about the real estate. Did not know about the beef and the cattle industry in general in this country, or how much stake that somebody like China has in it. So if you, like me, are concerned about this and all the crap that they're making us put in our bodies, right? Then definitely Farmer Bill's Provisions is your go-to new biltong snack, which I had no idea what it even was. Yeah, I've heard about it from people like Viva Fry and others. I have always wanted to try it, but I never have. Oh, you're going to get it. I'm telling you, I'm crushing this stuff. I've been crushing it lately. This is the beef chili. Dave said I need to try the ghost. Yeah, that's going to be hot. This is chili. It's more mild, but it's just delicious. If you're a jerky lover, forget about it. Never buy another bag of beef jerky again. It's gross compared to this stuff. This is Farmer Bill's. They have the biltong, and of course they do have bison beef, and they have their logs, which I know it's incredible. It's like literally a steak on a log. It's delicious. Looks, I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. There it is, right there. You can see it. But the minute you bite into it, and I cannot believe I've been in the dark so long about this. Paleo diet friendly. It's gluten-free, no nitrates. It's keto friendly. There's no sugars, no soy. I cannot stand this, like all the crap they put in beef jerky, the soy. Like, I'm getting older now. If I eat too much of like that garbage, then I will swell, man. I'm not kidding. So none of that with this. And it's super rich in protein, but best of all, I mean, it really is about putting America first, isn't it? And this is about putting America's cattle ranchers and beef, the beef markets domestic. It's about putting them first instead of putting BlackRock and China first. Yeah. And your body first. Put your body first. This is such a huge difference, Laura, between processed garbage, big food, beef jerky, and a biltong snack, which I had the history of this is real rich, and I didn't know about it, but people it's a well-kept secret. It's delicious. You'll try. But anyway, I'm going on and on. The link's in the description. It's farmerbillsprovisions.com, right? And it's provisions, yes. Farmerbillsprovisions.com. Use the promo code TPP for the People's Pundit. Use the promo code TPP at checkout. All right. Link is in the description. So is the discount code. And try it. You'll love it. I'm telling you. If you're a jerky fan, be a jerky fan no more. This is like way superior to beef jerky. All right. The only time it's okay to be a jerk is when you're putting down the beef jerky for Farmer Bill's Provisions. By the way, in South Dakota, it's packaged right in Gettysburg, South Dakota. Beautiful, beautiful place. Holy moly. That's God's country over there, folks. Really is. I just need water. You know, Laura, there's so many like inland places that I absolutely love and it's so beautiful, but I need water. You know, even like, God, I don't think I've ever lived somewhere for an extended period of time that didn't have water access. Gainesville, that was the most landlocked we've ever been. And it wasn't really landlocked. You can get in the car and take a 30-minute drive and you can be somewhere. You know?
No.
We didn't do it enough, though. Yeah, because we like to go to the Gulf Coast, so it was farther. But you could. It's just that we liked Venice. We love Venice Beach. Yeah, St. Pete's. So good. Tampa Bay area is just our favorite. And the Siesta Keys. Oh, we did go to Flagler. You're talking about? Yeah, that's the East Coast. That was the Atlantic. That was our favorite for East Coast. Vero Beach is also good for that too. But we were definitely golf people. Like definitely. It's like, it's like, what the hell is that? It's amenity, right? It's right there. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I do too. Remember Sharky's? Miss Sharky's. A bar. I wanted to buy Sharky's. It was in Venice. I wanted to put a little prop plane at the end of that pier. And I wanted to do like golf tours as an old man and have Laura run the restaurant and the bar. I'll run the bar. She can run the rest. She makes better drinks than me. She could run the bar. She'd run it all. But the food is definitely your thing. Like I don't mind like testing stuff, but like I maybe that'll happen one day. It's still like a long held dream that Laura and I have. Yeah, it's like a retirement thing. Because I'm never gonna retire.
No,
that's when you die.
Yes.
No, thank you. I knew this guy. Oh man, I know this guy. Remember old man Barklow? Guy was one of the first people in the country over at I think it was Penn State. Because it was Pennsylvania. It was Penn State where he had a heart transplant, him and a group of others. I think it was like 12 or 14 of them. Old man Barklow outlasted them all. A lot of them went home and took it easy and, would get their packages of Die Hard. He used to call it. It did say Die Hard every month. He would get the medicines. Not him. This guy you couldn't keep off a mower because that's what we did together. Him, his son, and me. And I was young. I was like, 17, 18. And the guy, you just could not keep him off the Z. And it's like, Frank, take a break. No, everyone else took a break. They're all dead. I'm the only one left. Don't tell me how to stay alive. I'm like, all right, Frank. Maybe like 100 degrees outside. The guy is still out there just slaying it. God bless him. He's gone now, but what a great guy. No, he was old back then. What a fantastic guy. I mean, truth be told, Lori, he outlived people who didn't have the problems that he had. No, that's okay. I got some. I still got some. You just reminded me. I love you. I would never. Hey, give me a little get half of it. Just kidding. I'm just playing with you. I actually made a good one this morning. I did. This is my pumpkin cup. My daughter bought it for me because I call her Pumpkin. That's her nickname. It says, "Good morning, Pumpkin." She knows I love the fall. And she got me this cup. It came with the cutest little spoon, too. But, of course, with kids, they break them. That spoon was adorable. You remember it? It had a little thing. Oh, it did have a little lid. Be like Vance. What did he say? And tell those kids to shut the hell up. And the media was like, it's like, Okay, because every parent in America has never said something like that. Give me a break. And he was actually not even saying that he said it. He's like thinking, like, oh my God, the president's on the phone. The kids are screaming. It's like, shut that kid up. Shut the hell up, kid. Come on. People like wig out
It's
over it.
like, oh my God. I was like, shut up.
You know, Hillbilly Elegy keeps creeping into the top 10 still on Netflix, and they keep bumping it off. Yeah,
You know,
they're doing it.
These fans said that he tells his kid to shut up, and they're just not being brainwashed.
Yeah, no
by,
kidding.
like, electronics and locked in rooms and.
Right. That's true. That's a good point. But you know, that's not JD's parenting style. Never be.
No,
Never be.
not from his.
Not from him or his wife. No way. That was kind of painful to watch because you know he's not the guy they're trying to make him into. I'm telling you, folks, if you dislike the media, you really don't dislike them enough. Like, as much as you think they're pieces of garbage and deserve people's distrust, you really don't think that enough. These are just awful, awful people. You know, Laura and I were just talking about this. Laken Riley's murder obviously was found guilty, and the headline on, I think was it CBS? I'd have to go and look. I don't want to like attribute it to somebody, but Laura and I were talking about it. The headline said, Laken Riley's murderer never stood a chance.
You know what never stood a chance?
Laken Riley and her future. She'll never get to fall in love, have children. He never stood a chance. Oh, boo-hoo.
I'm just reading some more. Her smartwatch marked when her heart stopped.
Oh my God, that's terrible. I did say I'd play the Megyn Kelly clip. I will. I have it. Let's just get to some questions first. I will. I didn't even watch the whole thing myself. I just watched some of them. But this is, maybe I'll just share it with you guys. But interesting stuff. Like I said, Patrick Ruffini. I'll put it in the chats because we probably wouldn't have time to go over it. But like, take my word for it, or don't, and look at other people who are also observing what we have been talking about, which is, of course, that the real underperformance here for Republicans compared to Trump are in these non-white areas. Arizona, same thing. Carrie Lake simply did not do as well, not only as Donald Trump, but as well as she herself even did in some of these other non-white areas. I don't know what happened there. I've been asked to make a lot of comments, do this, do that. Like, I wasn't her pollster. I don't know. I wasn't polling the race. So I'm not going to make comments about things that I just simply I can't observe. I can tell you, and I'm a little bit surprised that he winds up winning the state by almost 6 points, and that wasn't enough to carry her over. I think that the disparity between the president and the Senate race is a little bit weird. And I also don't trust the officials in Maricopa because I have personal experience with them. And anyone who says that he doesn't like a candidate, if he's in charge of counting votes and the chain of custody, if he says he doesn't like a candidate and that he's going to do everything in his power to make her life a living hell, that person is not fit for office and he should not be in that position. And we cannot trust the results of the areas that he's in charge of. We just can't. I mean, he himself gave us that reason. All right. I'll never forget sitting in court and this SOB shows up like without his hair combed. Oh, I'm on vacation. Okay. Well, guess what? I got subpoenaed. You think I want to be there? Before Christmas. Several days before Christmas.
Almost missed.
I still showed up in a 3-piece and my hair was combed. Disgraceful, man. They're not even serious people. Yeah. He's over there playing with his boyfriend in another country on vacation. Like, the hell, man? I got kids. Anyway, let's do it. Oh no, I was gonna put this up because I think we're gonna get something maybe soon. I just keep my eyes off it. Okay, but it's not there. It's actually in Merced. Well, it's the last one we got. And I do. Is it too long to worry about not seeing any prominent black supporters like Ben Carson, Byron Donalds nominated to Trump's cabinet and the potential effect on the black vote? That's a very good question. I'm very yeah, I got to be honest with you. I'm not liking it. I thought why? Not because they are, they don't get the job because they are a certain color, but these are eminently qualified people. Byron Donalds, I know, wants to be Treasurer Secretary. He wanted to be the Secretary of the Treasury. Give it to him. When asked, I actually said Charles Payne. I didn't know at that time that Byron wanted that job, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Byron, a few people did so much to support him and to reach out to different communities. For those of you who don't really know Byron, you could drop my man off in a ghetto. He's going to survive. This is not like that fake Republican. I don't know the community. He knows every aspect of his community, and it's like, he's the real deal. He's legit. He's super fun. And he's very articulate, very smart. He should. I don't know why we're not getting these positions filled by people who are not only representative of the coalition itself, but also younger. Pam Bondi is young. That's good. Like, I don't want to see the usual suspects playing musical chairs. Right. I just don't want to say it. Right.
I want fresh blood. Young.
I haven't seen Michelle. For people who don't know, Michelle Tafoya is apparently running for Senate in Minnesota in 26. She's like from what I understand, and I don't know her that well, I'll look her up now, but she's like some libertarian leaning MAGA hot model or something. I kid you not. So I have seen these experiments before. It really does. I guess it's she's older now, if I understand it correctly. She's older now, right? Or she was like a sports babe or sports something. I don't know. But it depends how you comport yourself. You know what I mean? It does. It doesn't hurt when a candidate is like attractive. However, the libertarian leaning thing kind of concerns me a little bit on anyone, because this is not that moment in time. It's not. That's not what voters want. They don't want some. Look at how bad Chase Oliver did around the country. We clearly overstated his support in like basically all of our polls. Nobody wants that, where they like on social point of view have a complete hands-off approach. Libertarians also scare me when it comes to immigration and other issues. It's like, I used to, and Laura knows this, I used to consider myself more libertarian, actually. And then over time, I realized that you're not. Yeah, I'm more of a constitutionalist, because that you really can't have. I mean, I don't have to quote one of the most famous economists in the world, but you can't be a libertarian in the modern world. You cannot have an open border if you have a social safety net. You cannot have no input on social issues when they're trying to cut your children's penises off. Like, this is nuts. There's a point where it is insane. Yeah. It is. We're not talking about whether or not an 18-year-old can have a gun in his hand but not a bottle of beer in the other. Like, like, that's not that conversation. This is way beyond that now. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, right. Also, Matt Gaetz did not kill himself. He's now promising to spill all the tea on congressional insider trading. Should be a trader. Insider trading. It should be interesting. Yeah, I tend to think that there was something else going on here with Matt. I want to know the backstory of that. I imagine I'll get it. I just don't ever try to abuse, like, people's trusts. Obviously, for those who don't know, I have polled for Matt in the past. So, like, I do not think he would have given this up for absolutely nothing. Comment for Rich. When the hell is Trump finally going to, and who's this Red Diver? When the hell is Trump finally going to understand that he wins every war with the GOP so long as it's public? Yes, sir. Pulling your noms because they don't privately have the votes is having a private war, which is a loss for Trump. Please tell me God didn't spare the man's life so we can live through him losing a bunch of private wars with the GOP. I tend to agree with you. I understand the ins and outs of politics and the sausage making. I've been in this business long enough. I just feel that Trump's in a place where he doesn't really need to be dealing with that bullshit anymore. He just he's got the mandate from the people. They don't. And as long as he keeps it public, they will fold. They have to fold. They have no choice. And I don't think like the people around him may be good at running campaigns and stuff, but they still don't understand this. You look good. I like that outfit. Dan, time to answer the most important question of 25. Are we going to have a locals meetup? So many great personalities between the book club and the chat. We all need to meet. We need to all meet in person. You know, Dan, the last time we had
a book club, a book opening of Rich's new book, and have it.
Oh, Laura. Oh my God. You maybe that's not a bad idea though. She said finish the book.
And then we'll do a
I'm gonna have to do it myself. I'm gonna have to do it myself. Because I would have to now go in and update everything that I did, which was done, what, 2 years ago? And it was all right. If it was published, man, I'd look like a rock star. And it's not. So it's all rear view mirror. That's so bad.
Yes, but you can do things that are pertinent to.
Well, of course, I could update the numbers, add new numbers. I mean, there's not some of this stuff is so historical, it just doesn't matter, you know. But I just feel like it would have been cooler to have out before, because then people would have said, "Oh my God, that happened."
It's all right, baby. Everybody knows that you knew.
Everybody knows. Boy,
Just
I'm
like you're the
really,
most accurate
I'm
pollster.
really loving this attempt to like
Yeah.
skew our numbers with all these people. Like there was another one that came out before. I'll show you. And it's like, you're telling me you can't understand a crosstab?
That means you're not a pollster.
I just did, by the way, speak to somebody from I am there. Let me just put it this way. There will be a review on as I understand it, on RCP. And as it stands right now, it looks like we're gonna be on the top of that list. Okay, so we'll see. As long as that popular vote doesn't move much more. I don't think so either. 1.7 is it. It's 1.7. And even if it goes to 1.6, it's so close. It's disgusting how close it was. However, it is nagging me that the third party vote share from the panels is inflated just a little bit, because if you get rid of them, it increases the vote shares for both candidates, and it's like right on the money. So 75-25 as a split, and this is maybe a topic for a total other show, but 75-25 as a split between phone and panel is not going to cut it anymore. It looks like it's going to be more like 80-20, because the panels have gotten so contaminated, right? What's the word? Contaminated. Yeah. But yeah, Dan, that's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. We should figure that out. I would have to put out too, like some kind of a survey. I do see where most of you are from on locals. Maybe I'll just do some research, plot it, and then try to get a place where it's the closest, you know. So now you're coming up. We could just throw a massive pool party, and that would be dope. She's like, no, not now. No. She's not cleaning that mess. No, there is actually, you know what? There is a really cool place to do a meetup around here. You already know what I'm thinking, probably. Especially if we did it, well, it'd be tough to do it around the holidays. I don't think we'd be able to get it. I don't think they would give it to us. Yeah. Oh, you know, I hate the heat.
It will be air.
Yeah. That's a good question though. Last time any of us met up is like when I go to a speaking event, sometimes some of you would show. By the way, I am going back to the Union County Republican dinner annual. Is it their Lincoln dinner, right? It's their Reagan dinner or Reagan dinner. I was invited back to speak to their annual Reagan dinner again. It's a big deal actually for this state. It's cool. Well, I told them the truth, you know, and sometimes that's what people want to hear. Sometimes they don't. A lot of times they don't. A lot of times they want you to tell them what they want to hear. What were the names of the volunteer organizations that did voter and polling data analysis? I'm not sure I understand what
Yeah,
you're
I've
talking
seen it
about.
before, but I didn't.
Because I don't want to tell you about some of these new people that popped up this year. Because I don't know if they did something for profit behind. I don't. Yeah, I don't want to even get into. I'm not going to lend my stamp of credibility to anybody until I know more about them. Tell you what I don't like. I don't like a foreign organization pretending like there was nobody here fighting against the corrupt election mafia. You know, that's what I don't like that. We were doing just fine. Thank you.
Go back to your country.
And Kerry Lake lost, by the way. So that claim is incorrect. Is Mitch, and there's worse, it's worse than that. And probably someday soon. I don't know what Mark wants to do about this. I'll wait and just keep my mouth shut for now.
No, we got something worse.
But there's the case is strong. There's hurting, and then there's mirroring, which is why I think somehow there's a word that's been used and twisted because of Nate Silver, as always. When I was brought up, it was called mirroring. It was the waiting on pollsters to release results so that you could kind of mirror their results and then hedge a little bit if you want to hedge. It's not a good practice. You should just put out what the numbers say. And there's always a way to find out whether somebody is mirroring. The dates they release, or even the very times in one case, right? And then the underneath the hood, meaning inside the numbers. You can see it in the crosstabs. Did they release this poll after somebody else did? And were they attempting to make the data look a certain way? And how would you know? There would just be some crazy stuff in the crosstabs that makes no sense. It's the case. Very clearly. Gets in the FBI director position are dominating the news cycle while Dems are stealing House seats in California. They're not stealing, though, Derek. They're not. They're just winning them. Trump is outperforming these candidates. However, don't get me wrong. There's always fraud in California. There's fraud in a lot of these places. There's always fraud every year. So I'm not trying to downplay that. I'm not. I'm simply saying that if they performed as strong as Trump, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. I mean, right now, we're looking at a district of a guy who legitimately thought because his last name somewhat sounds Hispanic and he hires Hispanics to be basically indentured servants, that he was going to make huge inroads with Hispanics. Multiple teams refused to work for him. His original team, there's no other way to get around this without telling people this. He's a prick.
Jerk.
He's a prick. Jerk doesn't cover it. This guy is an A-class asshole. Nobody likes him. Nobody wants to work for him. The NRCC will send somebody over to try to help him out. He'll thoroughly and sufficiently piss them off. They leave. They tell their friends, don't poll for this guy. I'm not dealing with this guy anymore. He thinks he knows everything. And when everything goes wrong because he's a bad candidate with no charisma and no record of telling the truth, like of doing what he says he's going to do. So he gets mad at the team for not having some kind of super smart consultant way to put the Jedi mind on the entire electorate. Sorry, John, we can't erase your voting record. You don't campaign well, John. What kind of an event do you want me to do? You're a terrible public speaker. What do you want me to do? You won't answer the questions about the EPA stuff. What do you want me to do? Like, he just wants to hide and have his consultants win the election for him because that's what happened the first time. He just paid Jeff Rowe a ton of money to come in and bombard old people with mailers, do phone banking, and run people's ballots back and forth. He didn't have a good vote harvesting operation like him and Mike Garcia claimed in 22. That's nonsense. He's begging begging the parties in Madera to help him. He doesn't have anyone who wants to do it for him. Nobody likes him because he's not a nice guy. He's a donor, a low-end donor at that, who demanded that he get that seat because he didn't like that David Giglio was too MAGA. That's how this guy became a congressman. And they buckled. And unfortunately, he did get Devin Nunes, who knows him, to convince Trump to stay out of the race. Well, Devin, I love him. He's a great. Devin is a national treasure, and he's a great guy, and I love Devin. But he was wrong about John Duarte, and now everyone's going to suffer because of it. It's that simple. Michelle Steele lost because Michelle Steele did not want to hear the message that I delivered to the Orange County Republican Club for I think that was their Lincoln dinner. They didn't want to hear it. You're not going to be the party of silk stocking rich white people anymore. They're too educated. You sent your kids to Yale and Harvard. They twisted their minds. They're not coming back. It doesn't matter what you do or how much money you send to Ukraine or how many new wars you start or how many tax cuts you say you support. It's not going to happen. Why? Because they're fanatics. So I suggest you get in your car, drive across the railroad tracks to the other side of town, and start shaking hands with normies. Because they're going to be your voting base, whether you like it or not. Because guess what? You're not going to take this party from Donald Trump. I know you want to run somebody else, turned out to be Ron DeSantis, and you're going to get clapped. Again. Michelle, Mike, and now John, they're all going to go down. David Valadao barely held on. Barely. He's in the chopping block next. Ken Calvert, he got through. Vince Fong is, of course, in the most red district out there, but Mike Garcia lost 51.3 to 48.7. Almost 10,000 votes. Just so pathetic. Valadao actually is widened. He held on pretty good. I mean, it's not a big win. It's 53.4 to 46.6. They're in deep trouble out there. They're in deep trouble. And they let this independent commission carve up these states. California's a perfect example. Constantly telling Sean Trendy, that's garbage. Bringing in some independent commission to make iteration after iteration after iteration to see which one gets through there. Political benefactors who appointed them to the commission anyway. It's not independent. It's not like God came from the sky and said, you're going to be on the independent commission. They get on there by having friends, and those friends expect stuff. At least with the state legislature doing it, if they screw up and they do something wrong like this, like gerrymander the hell out of the entire country, not just one state, they did this everywhere, then at least you can vote against them. How could you hold the independent commission accountable? I would point out that Republicans gained more seats, winning the national popular vote by less in 2020. They won the national popular vote by 3 in 22, a little over in 22. And they got a slim majority. That's because the country's gerrymandered. Look at how they carved New York to beat Mark Molinaro. Look at how they carved New Jersey. It's a freaking battleground state now, it looks like, at the presidential level. Yet it still didn't result in some huge wave in the House. It didn't. Because it's gerrymandered. Look at Illinois. The pickups that were the most notable were, in fact, in Pennsylvania. 2 pickups. There's one right there. 7 and 8. Robert Bresnahan's a big deal beating Matthew Cartwright. Also, by the way, probably not going to happen without Donald Trump on the ballot. So you better figure out what you're going to do real quick. You have areas with these two districts. You're talking about Lackawanna. You're talking about Monroe. You're talking about Pike. The heart of the new Trump coalition in areas that once upon a time were like Biden town. Ryan McKenzie, he barely beat Susan Wild. Can you see that? I mean, it's 4,000 votes. It's not that much. 4,200 votes. 50.5 to 49.5. It's going to be close from here on out. Republicans did this in a very positive environment. And that's all they could do? It's embarrassing. Embarrassing. So, I mean, yeah, of course Democrats cheat. They cheat. They always are going to cheat. They're professional election thieves. But it's not just, I know, of course, but it's not just, that they're losing these races because Republicans, they're stealing them and counting votes 30 days later. It'll be 30 days when they stop counting votes in California. It's ridiculous. And that's true. And I get that. And I understand your frustration. But I'm telling you, this shouldn't even be close.
But that means they're not running the right people, obviously.
And Owen, why are rhinos? I can't read that. Owen, come on. I'll text you later, brother. I can't say. I almost said that out loud, Owen. Damn. That could have got me in trouble, Laura. I can't believe you didn't screen that. What does Rich think, though? This part I can about doing Imagine Communities to the book club whenever that picks back up. It's pretty much Imagine Communities is at the top of the list. I don't know if I told you that. Did I tell you that? Benedict Anderson, Imagine Communities. The guy is like the authority academically on nationalism. The only thing, Owen, is that there may be like at least one book about nationalism that we would have to cover first. There are two, but we could pick one or the other. One is actually the book that used to be the authority on nationalism, and people still very much think about it in that way. The second one that I was thinking about was a collection of different works about nationalism that we could read to kind of sum up the different ways people have approached it, and then get into Benedict Anderson, because Imagine Communities is like another level, and we have to understand the basics before we move on to Anderson. And the idea was, are they real? Is our nations real, or do we create them? And the thesis is that basically, yes, they are real and they are imagined, but that doesn't mean they're not more, doesn't make them any less real. Incredible works. A lot of Jefferson in there, by the way, but very, very heavy academically. He's a little bit wonky. All right, but it's cool. It's really like a form of intellectual art, that book. So good. Now, we'll say this. A lot of people, when we read that back in college, I remember, a lot of like pro-Israel people didn't like it. Why? Because it does leave room for the Palestinians being a nation. Because, yeah, they may not have clearly defined borders. And yeah, they may not have, they got shared history, shared suffering, shared glory, things like that. But it almost isn't necessary if you have a community that you have imagined, which makes a nation. So it's always push back. Me, I like what he contributed to it, Owen, but I don't like it being so open. Like, I feel like a lot about a nation does rely on that shared glory, shared suffering, and clearly defined geographic boundaries. Because you remember when we read Kevin Phillips and we talked about state-to-state migration, and where does Phillips start? He starts in the Northeast, right? And then he moves to the South, the Midwest, and the West. When we talked about state-to-state migration out of New England and other places, right? Where did the Scandinavians end up? Why? Why did they end up there? Because Minnesota looks pretty damn close to home, doesn't it? I mean, it looks like Scandinavia in some places. Phillips brought that up, and he was absolutely right. The Scottish, why did they settle west of New Bern? Why did they pick the mountains? Because it looks like the Highlands of Scotland. Like that physical and geographic area is in our DNA. I'm telling you it is. When Laura and I went to her husband, that would be me, went to her cousin's wedding, my ears were popping going through the higher altitudes in New York. And my ears popped and felt normal. And then I realized this is the way I'm actually supposed to feel. This is the way I remember. The air smelled like air is supposed to smell. You know? Like no matter how far I go or where I go, that still felt like home to me. And you can see it with migration. You can see it with migration. By the way, you can even see it in Latin America. Look where it's not just because California, certain parts of California are close and certain parts of Texas are close. They look like their home state in Mexico, right? And to many Mexicans, Texas is still their state. Now, of course, I don't agree with that. I'm just telling you that is their home. It's in the blood. So Benedict Anderson doesn't leave enough for that. And I know he entertains it, and that's great, but he doesn't leave enough. So that's why I don't agree that Benedict Anderson's thesis leaves all that you need to say that the Palestinians are in fact a nation. That's not really true. And Robert will decimate that argument very quickly. I mean, I don't even think Benedict Anderson would be able to withstand Robert's argument when he gets into the history. It's not there. And they have no shared glory. They've lost every conflict they've started. They have no shared glory. They unite the Arab world against Israel and get their ass kicked. No glory. Shared humiliation, sure. Begging for them to give you the land back that you gambled with by starting a war and lost. Nobody gets the land back that they lose after starting a war. Why do you think you are special like that in history? That is the cost. Has the DeSantis crowd learned that they are irrelevant yet? No. Short answer. I'm going to leave that out. I was going to tell a little story, but how do you measure levels of hope that Trump knows how to choose cabinet and to position Republican Party to shift voter preference and moving the RNC forward? We just have to wait for now. I mean, we can't. That's the answer to that. We can't yet. We're just going to have to wait. I don't have any water here now. Yeah, we're just going to have to wait. Well, I needed a puff. All right. Plus, I want to peek around here and see what's going on here. Some absolutely insane numbers here, too. Look at this. You remember when I pulled Michigan and I had him at 36% in Wayne, and I was like, no effing way. Look at this. He's at 34%. I mean, rounded, but still. Look at this. Look at Cook County. Remember when that group, there were a couple people actually from several groups, and they were like, we want to get on War Room because this is real. We're going to get a lot. We're going to deliver a lot of black votes for Donald Trump in Cook County. Do you remember that? They were from Chicago. They're like, we vote as a community. We're going to deliver tons of votes. People laughed at them. Look at that. The last time a Republican did that well in Cook County has to be Bruce Rauner in 2014. And even Bruce Rauner didn't get that much. And he won the statewide election because it was a gubernatorial election. But, I mean, it's just remarkable. The biggest shifts are in urban areas. It's just incredible. Look at this. Barely loses. Like 2 points. Clark County. Just incredible. Incredible. Oh, she did wind up taking Washoe at the end of the day. So he was able to win by doing, see, again, though, this tells the story that I've been trying to tell you guys for over 2 years. He actually did lose Washoe, although he didn't lose it like Brown did. Okay, don't read the last one. Okay. Like, look at how bad Sam Brown lost Washoe. We had Sam Brown down by 8 in Washoe. He lost it by 6. Very much on point. That's probably pretty close as well. I thought we actually did have him like down a little bit more in Clark, but he didn't. Trump was actually able to close Clark enough. By the way, you think he did that with white votes? He didn't. He did it with Hispanic and Asian votes. That's how he got Washoe so close, the Asian vote in Reno, and also Hispanics in Clark. He did not do it on the backs of white voters. And in fact, he won Asians in Nevada. He outright won them. And the Hispanic vote was tied at 49. So he was able to close the deficit in Clark, winning so many Hispanic votes that he actually didn't even need to carry Washoe in order to win the state. Changed the entire equation. Changed the entire equation. It's truly, truly remarkable. And he didn't just beat her in Nevada. That's 3.1, man. That's like a good old-fashioned you-know-what slap. It's a good old-fashioned slap. Hold on one second. This may be the one, Laura. I may have to send you on. Nope, it's not.
People keep saying like DeSantis and GD are the same. I'm like, no, they're not. They're polar up. They're not.
You should run against Gray again. If Adam Gray wins this election, David, you should run. You should. You have the biggest fat "I told you so" ever as a campaign slogan. I would just print up signs. "I told you so, ... Rhino." Or comma. Comma works. "I told you so, comma, Rhino." Pictures of him, Mike Garcia, Michelle Steele, all faded, maybe 33% transparency. You smell what I'm cooking here? Be a good sign, bro. Unbelievable. All right, where did I? So don't do the last one. Okay, let's go up. Twitter is speculating that Kelly Loeffler is getting tapped for Secretary of Agriculture. I see Maha being happy about this. I don't see, and I think he meant MAGA, but maybe not. Make America Healthy Again, right? Yeah, I mean, look, I was talking to John Fredericks about Kelly this morning. And she did do things that were like behind the scenes you don't get credit for. She gave a lot of money to register younger voters in Georgia for Trump. She did a lot of stuff. However, I just don't think these are the names people want to hear, and I agree with that. I think that I would want to see. I mean, I'm open to suggestions. I just don't think the Purdue's and that circle of people, her husband, of course, is what? Like the president of the New York Stock Exchange or something. Like that does not say, populist. That does not say populist. Hasn't anyone come up with at least mean square algorithm to generate appropriate congressional districts?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, no. I mean, well, it should start there, but the problem is, and I was trying to get into this. I don't know. I got sidetracked in my thought, but like I would argue with Sean Trendy about this all the time. Like, and Dave Wasserman. Like, it's not just about population and race, and it is about geography, right? So when they would say, "Oh, look at how ridiculously twisted this district looks. It's gerrymandered." Shared identities and geographic boundaries should matter. I'm trying to think of a good way to explain this. What is a good... Well, damn. Look at somewhere like Niagara Falls. You have one side, people are totally different than the other side. If you had them, obviously, in the same state or country, you were trying to carve up a congressional district, using somewhere like Niagara as a boundary, as a border, is a good idea. It's a physical thing that separates two entirely different cultures, and that is supposed to be part of the equation, and people don't do it. All they ever care about is how many blacks are here, how many whites are there, is this is the share of the population overall, and that's not the way. That is not the sum total of what it's supposed to be. Where can the GOP grow in Illinois? Well, that's a good question, because I actually think, like I said, the best way to do better in a place like DuPage County is to assault it from both sides. All right. What do I mean by that? Do better with urban non-white voters. You can continue to if you do this like your Trump's party, and you can basically sandwich the burbs like DePage. All right. But there are, and I know this from work I've done, it's unfortunate, but donors in areas like Illinois, Republican donors, they feel like Democrats just outspend them disgustingly, and there's really no appetite to want to do the work that's not sexy. Maybe that'll change after this election, but we had one client that tried to do something a lot like 10x votes, and look, he was doing his job and doing it well. His problem was not having the interest from the donor class. I mean, it was really pathetic. But Winnebago, DeKalb, Kane, DePage, Kendall, these are places in the Chicago burbs where there are tons of what we call orphan voters. There are different ways to be orphaned if you're a voter, but in the case of Illinois, there are a ton of working class Democrats that no longer feel that they are a part of the system. And in fact, haven't been voting for a long time. So it's like you could do a 10x votes style operation in Illinois and get a lot of new people onto the party. And there's tons of them there, tons of them. And they don't have the money for it. It's sad. But that's where, honestly, I would go after higher population centers, because when we're talking about these districts too, that's going to matter. I don't know. That was a private conversation, so I'll keep that a private conversation. But one candidate, particularly in Illinois, who should have had a lot more support, a lot more backing, just didn't get it. And, he would have been able to outperform his expected margin as well. And he got outspent disgustingly. And that's a big part. Is there a place for Parnell in the Trump administration? Man, I hope so. My buddy Sean is a warrior, literally, but also he's got his head firmly on his shoulders, like doesn't get any better than that guy. Sean is one of the good guys. He is. And by the way, the reason they took Sean out the way they did with that Senate race and that smear, which came from a rhino, by the way, the reason, and Democrats they're happy to, they're happy to have a rhino help them in destroying someone they know is a threat. They were afraid that Sean Parnell was actually going to be what the J.D. Vance was of this cycle. He's from Pennsylvania. They thought, oh my God, no. A Trumper who's articulate, has a great story. He's going to be super well liked. He cannot win this Senate seat. If he wins this Senate seat, Trump's going to pick him to be VP, and Trump is going to easily carry Pennsylvania. We cannot have that. And that was those were outward talks. We know that he's very good friends with Don Jr. Don Jr. has like a good say. He played an intricate role in getting Vance nominated. I would wager, and I'm not a betting man, you guys know I don't like it, but I myself would wager that Sean Parnell would be the vice president elect right now if those scumbag rhinos didn't use and lawfare wielding Democrats didn't use his family and his kids as a weapon against him. And he don't say it, but I'll say it. His crazy ass ex-wife. Family court has no business in this stuff, guys. I'm the child of a divorced couple. All right. All sorts of anyone who knows how divorce and custody battles work and how ugly they get. There's no place for using that, especially the damage you could do to the kids. They don't care. They're horrible, awful people. Like I said, if you don't hate the media, you don't hate the media enough. You don't. As much as you may think, oh, no, I do, Rich. I can't stand them. You cannot hate them enough. Speaking of which, the other smear that year, J.R. Majewski. Where does he go to get his reputation back? Anyway, they ran their rhino of the dreams in Ohio 9. He lost. With Trump on the ballot, you think JR would have lost? I don't think so. I don't think so. 22, totally different story. But with Trump on the ballot, winning Ohio by 13 points, do you think that J.R. Majewski would have lost? They couldn't take it. Some guy comes out of nowhere, paints Trump on his lawn, beats Teresa. That's not supposed to happen. Let's destroy his life. Let's twist his words, twist his DD-214. Those things, too, are illegally obtained, Laura. And in the case with Sean, some of that stuff was his medical records. Could you believe that? And this is the thing, too, with these effing bureaucrats. Veterans have a right to privacy. There should be severe punishment for the world-class piece of you-know-what who leaks that to the media because they're a Democrat and they don't like the Republican. You are breaching what is supposed to be a sacred trust between the veteran and the government that they fought for. Who the hell do you think you are? Right. Who the hell do you think you are to release that material? I'm telling you guys, you can make any veteran look crazy with a selective leak. And they encourage you to talk to people. You could have PTSD. You should sit down with somebody. Don't take that tough guy argument. Then you do. And then when you decide to run for Congress or Senate years later, some nutcase liberal who told you to sit down with a friggin' shrink decides that they're going to leak that shit to make you look nuts. You kill somebody and you don't have problems, then you're nuts. You sleep at night? Right. After taking human life, you sleep like a baby at night? You're nuts. That really pisses me off. Dan Scavino posted on Truth this morning that Mike Rogers isn't even being discussed. Really? See, there you go. Mitch is going to Liz Cheney the entire Republican Party if he doesn't stop fighting Trump. Yes. It's the worst thing about these pieces of crap. Go away! You dirty crook. Go away. Nobody likes you. You're sticking around because you're a crook. He's a crook, though, Laura. He's doing this to protect people who have been stuffing him in his wife's dirty pockets for years. He's a crook. Go away. Go to hell, for all I care. We're all just supposed to sit around and watch these guys have brain aneurysms live on TV because they don't know when to give it up. I'm sick of it, man. Sick of it. Nobody cares about Mitch McConnell. He's the most hated politician in the country and has been for years. His negatives make Nancy Pelosi look like prom queen. Okay? Oh, looks like we got to it. That's the Gates and FBI question. Yeah, I think unless Laura threw something down after this. Ooh, what a great question. I've been trucking for 3 years. I'm going to end it on this one. I've been trucking for 3 years, and now I'm bored. But I've been bored with every job since leaving the Marines. I feel you, brother. This is Charles. Should I join the Border Patrol now that Trump is president again? Yo, I'm not going to give you life advice, but unfortunately, when I got out, I did not trust the commander-in-chief, so I didn't do other things that I wanted to do and could have done probably very easily. With, I'm sure you got to do it. I can hear in your tone, that boredom with being a civilian again. So I'm going to take I'm going to take a leap of faith here and say that your DD-214 probably looks a lot like mine. And the world just isn't the same. And it's like you had the most exciting job, even if it was a dangerous one, you had maybe, but it was still the most exciting job in the world. And every day was a new thing and a new adventure. And it was like, and I used to tell people, like, look, it doesn't make you nuts. It's just that, like, sometimes it may be good for a man, to face his mortality and remind you you're alive and to appreciate it. And then when you get thrown back in the civilian world, there's just none of that anymore. And you're bored out of your mind. Being a trucker's cool because you're like, it's you time, it's you in the cab. And then, whoever's on the other end of that, of that radio. Right. But, if I was you and if you're young enough and you think you could still do border patrol, stuff like that, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would do it now that done. You could always leave when Trump, if Trump, because folks, tone from the top matters. And this is a perfect example, like border patrol, even the VA, very different entities to work for depending on who's the president. Obama was just awful. And the tone from the top, the word was out, like it's a shit show and it's terrible morale in the border patrol. Now that Trump is back, they're going to be very happy. And I remember talking to people that were showing me these machines they had. It was really cool. You probably love this. They were catching smugglers and I had no idea. And I forgot the name of the machine, but it's new. And Trump got it for them and funded them, made sure they had it, and they loved him for it. And you could do anything, identify any substance, any drug, explosive powder, residue, whatever it may be. It was so cool. All they did was this like little wire and put in the substance, and that was it. And this computer, beep, 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 methamphetamines. It was so cool, and they loved it. I thought about them a lot during the Biden administration. And Laura and I had talked about them. Like, man, my thoughts are with those guys because things were so very different for them under Obama. And then when Trump was president, it was like the golden era. And now again, with Biden, having them sitting on their hands, not being able to do their jobs when these guys really want to do their jobs. All the drugs are pouring over the border. They can't do anything about it. It's a hands-off approach. And it's got to be the most miserable life in the world to be trained to do a job, to want to do it, and then not be able to do it because some politician piece of crap won't let you for political reasons because they want votes. And because of that, you're letting poisons go right by you. And it's going to end up with some dead kid somewhere, if I would do it, man. And if like it gets to a point where, Trump's out and it's someone else and they don't care, I mean, you could always leave. You could always go back to trucking, right? And that's a good thing. Just make sure you keep your CDL, right? Keep your credentials. Don't lose them. Don't let them expire. But yeah, I would. I'm 43. The hurrahs are gone. If I was young enough and I still had one last hurrah left in me, I'd do it. Come on. Do I have to tell you how great it is every day to put on that I don't know what you call it in the Marines, but the T50, right? The vest on. Right? Got your gear. Buckle it up. It's the best thing in the world, man. Tighten those laces. I can feel it now. Sling that weapon. It's the best thing in the world. I would do it. Let me know. Keep me posted. I mean, again, you could always leave. Although you might want to stay because you're going to be working toward a pension, really. But yeah, I would definitely do it. The gear again. Do it, man. Chase me some cartels. Woo! Stop some fentanyl. It's good stuff. Sounds like a plan to me. Sounds like a day in the office to me, Charles. Speaking of, I guess we're going to find out who the Treasury Secretary is pretty soon. I'm really hoping for some out-of-the-box picks here, folks. I just recess a point, everybody. Who cares? Who cares what they think? Who cares? All right. Nothing but love for you. Don't forget, if you like the videos, to like them and share them far and wide. The links are in the description to all our advertisers. Thanks for supporting them. That supports us. That's how the world goes around, right? The links are all in the description. As always, if you're not a member already, that's the best place to follow us is on Locals. peoplespundit.locals.com. All right, guys, I'm actually going to go kick around a couple ideas for national polling, and I'll obviously let you know when the time comes.
Yes.
All right, nothing but love for you. Deuces.
Deuces. You can't.
Yes, it's because I'm trying to get in the club. No, I'm not. Not at all. All right. No music. You need to go out, Winston. You want to take a walk in a bit? Let's do that, buddy. All right, guys. See ya. Winston. Poor Snaggle.